morning, and welcome to Morning Brew with your girl Germaine. Yes, it's Monday morning. Yes, it's Monday morning. I am still trying to collect myself, get myself together. Sometimes Mondays are a little harder than any other day of the week. I don't know. It's like a struggle Monday. Just trying to get your thoughts together, trying to get motivated for the week. And Leslie, I needed that. Good morning and happy Monday. I was just saying how, Monday is like the slow start to the beginning of a great week, right? Getting your thoughts together. I'm sitting here mentally telling myself, okay, girl, let's get with it. Let's get with it. Hello over on Instagram, Miss Bell 964. Good to have you on. And so, right now, just trying to really motivate myself this morning in today's morning brew. And so, let me just tell you, while my coffee, I just heard it stop brewing. It is the power in your story. So, we're coming out of a power series that's really, it was a series to really impact you, empower you, and really let you know your value, your worth, and the power that you possess. And so, we're going to just kind of take a slight detour, but still talking about the power in your story today. And so, hold on, let me grab this real quick. So, I can be sipping on my coffee this morning while we're just having a conversation. So let me know, how was your weekend? I know it was beautiful up here in Connecticut, and we're coming to the end of the year so quickly. So I'm still, I'm playing catch up. Let me be honest, I'm playing catch up. My list is crazy. My clients have been so gracious and really extending grace and just love, and thank you. Thank you all. And I do want to give a quick shout out to some really dear friends of mine who's also authors. She's a part of the HOV publishing family, Dr. T and Jeff. Happy anniversary. I'm so sorry I missed it. We did have a funeral this weekend. So I'm so sorry I missed it, but happy anniversary. And all those out there that are celebrating anniversaries, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, whether it's the success of something you've accomplished, happy anniversary to you as well. So, with that being said, let's talk about the power in your story. And you all know, or maybe you don't know, I have to keep reminding myself. Some people are new to the platform, to the community. So I can't just assume they know, right? But if they stay connected, guess what? They will know. Good morning, my sister Jessie Moss 92775. I hope the weather has been beautiful for you guys in Sacramento. But welcome always, my true faithfuls. And so the power in your story, why is so near and dear to my heart? Because it's a part of my assignment, Hope a Vision, really being able to tap into those and help you really see the power in your stories. Yes, your stories mean so much. We don't just live these lives and cultivate these stories along this journey for nothing. No, it's always for something. There's always purpose in it. Okay, keep that in mind. There is purpose in your story. And so let's get a little bit into it because I really want to encourage you so you walk away with knowing that your story has power. Okay, so your story isn't just about your past. No, it's not just a series of events that you had to encounter in your life, the trauma that you may have suffered at the hand of someone else, or the wins and successes. It's more than that. Your story is so much more. Think about it this way: it is currency for your future. Now, if you notice, I didn't say money, I said currency. Okay. And I don't want anybody to get to misunderstand, just let me take my story and let me just go make money. No, the riches of your story, it is life changing for someone that's waiting to hear it. I want you to put yourself in this position. Think about you along your journey. Whose story impacted your life? Whose story was like currency for them, but it impacted you when you heard that story? and it helped you transform and shape your life, right? Why couldn't that be you? Why couldn't it be your story doing the same thing for someone else? Yes. I'm in love with people's stories. I am. And maybe that's why I'm a book publisher, right? Because stories are when like I said, stories are powerful, but I'm in love with people's stories because everyone has one and it's unique to them. Even though you may have some counterfeits out there that want to take someone's story and try to live out their story, but it's not authentic. So, with that, let's get a little more into this. Because everyone's story, it can serve the purposes of healing or connecting people or leading. Do you see where I'm going with this? But too often, guess what we do? We hide it instead of harnessing it. Because I think we're so busy trying to figure out what someone may take from it, how someone may receive our story. So, before we get into, the segment that we talk about, the purpose, the pour into purpose segment, before we get in there, I just want to kind of highlight some parts of my own story. When I think about my journey, right? And I'm guilty. I'm going to be so upfront and honest with you. I'm guilty also because when I think about, who really wants to hear my story? Sometimes I don't want to hear my own story because I know I lived through it, right? But I have to stop. I had to stop thinking like that myself. And as a publisher, I get so consumed in other people's stories and helping them to birth and push their stories out for the world to be able to read it, enjoy it, learn from it, and also hopefully be encouraged by it. I get so caught up that I forget about my own story. And it's so interesting because every so often I may encounter someone, I may run into someone that has been privy to my story over these years. And one of the questions, hey, Germaine, you still in the music industry? And I'm like, you never know who's paying attention. I'm going to say that first. You never know who's watching, who's paying attention, who's actually following your story from a distance. You never know. So I get that. I would get people that, oh my gosh, so they've been with me in my early years, following my story of me being in the music industry when I was working with artists that we all know and love. They remember that time. And it would be years later when I would run into someone and they would still ask, hey, you still in the music industry? Hey, what's going on? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's that artist? But it just lets me know that even when you don't think your story is impacting someone else's life, it is. It is. I need to take a sip now that I done mixed up my hazelnut today. Hazelnut coffee, as always, right? I need to add some more color in my life or some different flavors. Okay. So back to the story at hand. I'm sharing parts of my story today in Morning Brew because I really want you to think about your story. Okay. I really want you to think about your story and how your story may have impacted others or how you've been impacted by someone else's story. So, one of the things my dog Penny, you might hear her little feet tapping in the background while she's playing. But anyway, so a thought just came to my mind as I was thinking about Coach V when he was telling me about just really thinking about the stories. I'm going back to this place, but thinking about the stories and how they may impact our life. And so he gave so many rich jewels and nuggets and stuff about it wasn't so much about stories versus communication in our last segment, but he's always given me rich nuggets. But in regards to the story piece, our stories, he was talking about his mentors and how he has mentors that are living mentors that have already passed on and they've left their legacy behind. But what was interesting, he talked about having mentors that he's never even met, but they were mentors through their stories and the books they had put in the marketplace. And you know me as a publisher, that was like a aha moment for me, right? And it was a teachable moment for me to say, you know what? Once again, it ties into the power of our stories. You may never meet the person who has impacted your life through their story. I'm just saying, that could be you. That could be your story too, impacting someone else's life that you never even encountered. You never even knew them. And sometimes people may never get the opportunity to share the impact someone's story has had on their life. So, Jesse, beautiful coffee break, my sister. It makes me happy. Yes, when you think about the power of your story. So, a lot of times we get so hard on ourselves. And welcome, Harmon Entertainment Group. Thanks for joining us on Instagram. And so, guys, join the conversation. If you're out there and you're watching and you want to just chime in, yes, you know me. I actually bring the comments up. We talk about it. But yes, chime in, get in on the conversation in the community, okay? And if you're someone from afar and you're catching this from afar and you don't want your presence to really be known, that's okay too. You too have a story. And hopefully, you'll start thinking about how you're seeing your story, how you're seeing your story show up in life, how you're seeing how your story, little things, all the way to big things, can impact someone. You never know what someone needs. So just keep living, keep living. Okay. So now let me get back to this, right? Because we haven't even gotten into our segment yet. So, as we're talking throughout this morning brew, in today's brew, the power of your story, I may just drop some parts of my story along the journey that may resonate with the moment of what we're speaking about. But let me do this. Let's start pouring into purpose with the power of our story. So, in this segment, Pour into Purpose, I want to encourage you and let you know that your story is someone else's survival guide. You never looked at your story like that, I bet. I bet you never saw your story as someone else's survival guide. It feels heavy, right? But I don't want you to take that on as if it's something heavy and a weight for you to carry. So now you done shifted your mindset, and all you're thinking about is, oh my gosh, my story is somebody else's survival kit. So now I have to align. No, do not do that to yourself. Don't play those mind games, those tricks on yourself. No, just keep living. Keep living, living to be the best version of you, live to get to the purpose that's been destined for you. Just keep living on this life's journey, and someone will pick up your book. Someone will pick up your story to read your story and find themselves in it. And you could probably see somebody right in your immediate circle that you've already impacted their life through your story, even if it's not packaged in book form yet. It could just you sharing an event, an experience, something that happened to you, or something that, like I said, having an aha moment, right? And here I am on my little platform sharing it with you. So, but let's pour, okay, into purpose. So, like I said, your story is someone else's survival guide. You've already walked through what someone else is praying to survive. I want you to have an open mind today. Keep your mind open. Keep your mind open, because I want you to really start seeing yourself in a different light that you may not have been seeing yourself in. Okay, so shine a bright light on yourself. I want you to start seeing yourself today differently. Okay, so think about the footsteps. So, whose footsteps have you stepped in that made it easier for you so you didn't have to fall in those potholes or step on those that minefield that may blow up if you step in the wrong place? Whose footsteps did you step in on your journey that helped become your survival kit, your survival method or mission, or your survival guide, right? So as we're talking, as you can see, I want you to see yourself, but I also want you to see yourself from the standpoint of contributing Your story. Your story contributes this to who. But on the flip side of that, I want you to also look at yourself as the actual person on the receiving end of someone else's story that is being a contributor for you, or a survival prayer, an answer to prayer for you. So I want you to see yourself in both those ways, okay? So transparency unlocks transformation. Transparency. Can you see me? Can you see me? Today, I want to be transparent. I just want to, the story is this, and let me just tap in. Like I said, I'm gonna drop some parts of my story along this morning brew today. The story is this: one, you never know who's paying attention. So always be your authentic self. Always show up authentically, even if you get it wrong sometimes, even if it may not be all together. This is just the place that you're in. And so I found myself along my journey like that, right? As I was transitioning and transforming, right? But as I was transitioning through different industries per se, coming out of school, graduating from FIT, and that was a whole story in itself. One day we'll get to it. But coming out of FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, out of New York, Manhattan, and being able to find myself in the music industry. Well, you could look at it from a standpoint: fashion meets music, entertainment. It's all like sisters and brothers. It all works together, right? And so, but I ended up in that space because I was getting the education through retail management, sales, retail management, working at a Gap store. It's all still connected, as you can see, right? So, but I didn't know I would end up in the music industry. I just loved managing processes, systems, ideas, people. I just had a knack for it. I loved doing it until one day I was in a studio with my aunt, who said, her producer said, "Hey, you ever thought about your niece managing you?" Well, that opened up a whole world of different opportunities for me. Different opportunities, because my goal wasn't, oh, I'm gonna do all this work because I want to end up in the entertainment industry or the music industry. That wasn't my thought at all. I wasn't even thinking along those lines at all. But here we are. I decided to start opening up my mind and looking at things differently. And one of the things I thought about that helped to cultivate and create my story, one of the things I thought about is, you know what? I have this experience over here in retail management, right? Managed the Gap store for years, became a regional trainer. So I even got my skills, um, practice my skills to tighten my skills in managing and teaching and educating, um, through training, district training of salespeople and managers. And so, but nevertheless, I want you to keep in mind the things you pick up along your journey, how they can be so useful in the rest of your life's journey. So this is early on, picking up these skills that at the time I'm not thinking I'm going to end up over here in the music industry. I'm not thinking I would work with some of the top name artists in the business. I'm not thinking any of that stuff. Not at all. But what I was thinking is, in that moment, how can I become the best at what I do in that moment? Because no one can take those skills away from me. That's going to help catapult my story to a whole nother place. Right. So again, again, on this journey, being authentic, being yourself. But I know sometimes we complain when we're on these job sites, we're in this workspace, and we may complain about, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. I really don't want to be here. So I'm now thinking, as we're talking, how all these experiences lined up for what I do today. And so, and it has strengthened my story. And so, as I'm thinking about this, transparency unlocks transformation. Absolutely. Being transparent, asking questions, But sometimes, you know what, I found myself even vulnerable when I didn't know something. It was okay to ask and not feel like I had to have all the answers, because we don't. So along this journey, it opened up more opportunities for me to work with more people, for people to say, hey, I like you, let me show you this. And so, once again, the power in your story and how it becomes. So, your voice matters. Absolutely. And that's been a part of our power series. Your voice matters, even if it shakes. So, sometimes it can become very, very intimidating. In some of the rooms that I've been in, some of the people that I've sat at tables with and had to share my voice, my views, my opinions on things and what I thought. And you know what was so interesting with that? I was shocked when I realized, wow, people were listening. They wanted to know what I had to say. Yeah, that was a little mind blowing for me. It was. I'll never forget the time I was working with a client and he was on the radio. And I always found myself in circles with bishops and pastors and leaders and stuff like that. And I never held a title, right? In ministry and stuff like that. But what was interested, and as you notice, I'm pivoting and shifting because I'm giving you parts of my story. So, but what I realized, I always looked at myself as small, like, why am I even in this space? I looked at myself like I have nothing to offer. They're all at this level, and I just felt like I was down here at this level, right? But with that being said, once again, and immediately I did not realize, or I didn't think about it or know, I just showed up. I just showed up. I was a part of a team. I was a part of, and sometimes I wasn't even a part of their team. I was the person they were bringing in to share vision and insight for their ministries or for their teams. And so for me, I'm just like, okay, still thinking small about who I am. But God put me in this space, He put me in this room, because as years went by, I started to I started to realize, this is all my story. I started to realize that, wow, okay, my assignment, my vision, my purpose is a lot bigger than I thought it was. So I'm saying this to stop looking at yourself as being small. You are powerful. And people do want to hear what you have to say. So I started looking at that. I started looking at things, but I'm gonna be straight up honest. All this time, these years have gone by. Sometimes I still revert back to the way of thinking, okay, girl, you supposed to be here. Why you here? How you get here? And I gotta really shake that mess off, shake that thought off. I'm supposed to be here because I'm destined to be here, right where I'm at, right? So, but let's move along and pouring into purpose as I'm just dropping just a few parts of my story. And one day you'll get the whole story, right? So let's pour a little more into purpose. For the unspoken stories become stuck energy. Did you hear that? Unspoken stories. If this is resonating with you right now, the unspoken part of it is because you haven't taken time out to share your story. And you know what? The story doesn't have to necessarily be shared, like I said, in book format. People are starting podcasts to share their stories. People are putting their stories in audio versions. People are putting their stories on the big screen. People are putting their stories in so many different formats. But is your story unspoken? Are you stuck energy because you haven't had the courage maybe to release your story? You don't feel like your story's worthy enough for someone else to get empowered by your story? What is it? I don't know. You have to ask yourself this question. But I just want you, remember, in this coffee break today, I want you to start seeing yourself differently. Yes, your story matters. And I want you to really start exercising that. Your story matters. You did not just live this life on this journey with all this pain, with the excitement, with the suffering, with whatever you had to endure. You did not just live this for naught, for nothing, for no one to benefit from it, not even yourself. So, all right, let's keep pouring. Let's keep pouring. So, releasing. So, right now we're talking about the pour into purpose, how unspoken stories become stuck energy. So, releasing it brings clarity. Releasing it brings clarity. Yes. And sometimes you may need to just stand in front of the mirror and practice your story, listening to yourself and see how it resonates or lands back on you just by you listening to it. Because a lot of times we want to hold it so tight. We don't want anybody else to know, anybody else to hear it, but just you with yourself. And you know what? I had a conversation. I was speaking to someone just the other day, and boy, it was so powerful what she's getting ready to do. I'm not going to really go into what she's doing because that's for her to release. But what it made me think about is, have you ever sat down and wrote a story or a letter to the younger version of you? Have you ever, just when you needed to get some things off your chest, have you ever sat down and wrote a letter to the younger version of you? And you could be so honest in that. You could be so pure and so authentic in writing a letter to the younger version of yourself. If you have not done that, you should really try to do that and watch how it may release some stuff from you just in releasing that to the younger version of you. So that's up to you. If you decide you want to do that, just let that be a seed planted and it could be watered along the way. If you have not done that yet, try it. I encourage you to try that. All right. So naming it brings power. Have you heard that before? If you can start naming some things, parts of your story, start naming some things, parts of your stories, it can become your power to you. And sharing it brings healing. Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking of some authors right now, and you can check out some in Authors Brew Friday if you go to YouTube at morningbrew.com, not morningbrew.com. Go to my YouTube channel, Morning Brew with Germaine, and go back to the section. And I did create playlists, so you can go right into the Authors Brew Friday and listen to some of the author stories that we've had on in past Morning Brews, or and just see the power and their struggle and how their stories, just by them sharing it, it helped to bring healing. Yes. So powerful. I'm telling you, your story is powerful. It's powerful. And also receiving the power of someone else's story can help you along your journey as well. All right. So let's continue to pour a little bit more into purpose. But I do want to say this. I do want to drop. This is one of those moments where I want to drop just part of my story. Okay. Before we go into the last part of pour into purpose. So when I think about releasing it brings clarity, naming it brings power, and sharing it brings healing, your story, when I think about that, it brings me to a place of where I sit today and how being a part of so many authors, new authors, mind you, one of my mandates when I started HOV Publishing, which is Hope of Vision Publishing, it was really to give a platform to the unknown author. And it wasn't even about the author itself, it was about giving a platform and a space for those who have never thought their story was powerful or worth it, and nobody would listen. So if you were someone new to wanting to just get the courage, and now you have the courage, and now you need to find a partner, a publishing partner to help you put your story in the marketplace, then Hope of Vision was that place. And so many people were referred here to be able to also do the same thing. So I I have to say I am so blessed. I am so blessed that God saw fit to allow me to share in so many people's stories and help them to bring their stories to life so others can be blessed by it. I am so grateful and I'm so thankful. And I will always forever say that to everyone that has been attached or assigned to HOV or Hope of Vision Publishing, my community, my tribe. I am so grateful to you because I could have never built this without you. And it's not designed, vision isn't designed for just the one person. Mm-mm. I mean, literally, Hope of Vision was strategically designed to do exactly what it's done: help those with obscure voices, voices that may never be heard in mainstream, those whose voices may still be struggling to be heard or still be in a place of trying to convince themselves or figure out, does anybody even want to hear my voice? Hope of Vision has been that vehicle to really be able to bring people to a place of allowing them to share their power in their story. And so, yes, I mean, the relationships, the family members, those that's a part of the family, the Hope of Vision Publishing or Hope of Vision family, those that are a part of that family, that community, that are even now extending it to this platform, Morning Brew with Germaine. Morning Brew with Germaine is just an extension, once again, of purpose, of allowing individuals to share in a space their story. We just decided to do it over coffee with you. Have you stop by and have coffee, tea, juice, whatever you're drinking, right? We decided to just package it in this platform in this way that you could stop by and have coffee to engage in conversation with us about your story. And there's so many things down the road that's coming that you are going to be able to be a part of, really the platforms that you're going to be able to stand on and really be able to engage with community, with the world about your story. You don't have to be someone that's already arrived, they're already out there, they're doing big things and all that. Because the one thing I realized going the journey of the entertainment industry in that route, I don't care how big someone gets from a superstar status or what, I don't care how big someone gets. Guess what? They're human just like me. They have issues that they still want to deal with just like me. You know, the only thing is they have more pressure on them because more people know their name. And the thing is, and that's probably why I worked in the back for so long, because I just didn't want to deal with all that pressure. I saw what they had to deal with. I saw what these artists, entertainers had to go through. And so I would rather be a part of their support team than having to be the one on the the platform, right? But as you get older, what I realize is all in how you internalize things, is all in how you surround yourself with sound advice and people that will support you. Um and vice versa, you supporting them. But it's for me, I am grateful to each and every one of you that take time out of your busy schedule, that actually pour your resources even back into this vision. And hopefully, you find the value in something that Hope of Vision is bringing forth, that me being used as an instrument or a vessel to be able to share with you. I hope that there's something you take away with, because for me, you bring me so much value and so much joy, allowing me to be a part of your story. Ooh, I'm getting a little emotional right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to Pour into Purpose, right? Because I'm thinking about just how your stories have been such a blessing, even for me. They have been truly a blessing for me, and I'm so grateful that you found fit to be a part of my story and allow me to be a part of your story. The power in one story. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, this is the last segment of Pour into Purpose. So, Leslie, I just want to say thank you, Leslie. Great point. As sometimes we forget about our transferable skills and not the job titles. Absolutely. That's going to be a whole nother series that I'm going to talk about, because a lot of people are losing their jobs right now. This is a little quick pivot, but a lot of people are losing their jobs right now and they really don't know, where do I go from here? How do I transfer my skills into something that can now benefit and pay me so I can live, take care of my family, right? So that is definitely, Leslie, I'm gonna get you on for that so we could talk about it, girl. And so let me get into this last segment of pour into purpose, right? Because, whew, okay, all right. So you are the narrator and editor of your next chapter. Yes, we're talking about the power of your story. You're not bound to your beginnings. Don't get stuck there. We're forever evolving, forever evolving. And if you forget, think about this. When you were born into this world, you were a baby, an infant. But today you sit a full grown person, right? Forever evolving. That's how our stories are. Forever evolving. And so, thanks, Leslie, for the confirmation. And so, let's get back into this. So, we retell, what I want you to do is retell your narrative with power, not pain. So if you are someone right now that's writing your story and you have gone through and you are sharing what you have gone through and what you have experienced, don't get stuck in the pain of it. But even though we absolutely know you have encountered and endured all through the pain, I want you to start practicing how to turn that pain into power. You can do it. Use it as fuel to propel you to that next place of power through your story. Okay? Use it as strength to guide you to where you need to go now. And as you see, I haven't really brought others into this part just yet, because all I want you to do is focus on you writing your story. Don't think about the outcome, how it may show up in the world, and who it may affect in the world. Focus on just writing your story. Write the chapter, create the outline. We'll start with the outline first, right? Create the outline. In the outline, just talk about some of the things you want to highlight in your book, in your story. Talk about what encounters you may have had, what experiences you had to endure or go through. And it may be painful if you're dealing with any type of trauma over the course of your life. It may be painful to have to go back and relive through that, but do it. It's almost like you're writing that letter to the younger version of you that was hurt. And now you're in an adult level and you're trying to figure it all out, trying to make sense of it all. But make sure you write it out. And like I said, if you have not wrote that letter to the younger version of you, that could be the actual thing that starts you on your journey of writing your story. But so just create the outline, different things, different time periods, places, things, people, encounters, experiences, hardships, pains, things that you want to just put in your outline. No particular order. Take the stress off yourself. Right now, you're just writing things out, but write it down so you can see in front of you what you want to start talking about and the things you want to start giving power to. And like I said, retell your narrative with power, not pain. It doesn't mean you can't talk about those painful experiences. You can, but do it with the mindset of overcoming. I've overcome this. I still may deal with some residue of it, but it doesn't affect me the same way. Or maybe you're someone and it's so fresh, the wounds are so fresh and so open. So I want you to begin to speak from the scar and not the wound. Okay? The scar, as you can see, it's been healed, or it could be still healing, and you're seeing that it's going through its healing process, right? So when you touch it, if it's been healed, it may not feel like the pain that you've experienced when it was an open wound, right? So, same thing with writing. As you're writing your story, as you're journaling your thoughts, I want to empower you. Yes, you have gone through some things in your life, but now how can I turn that into power? It doesn't erase what you've gone through, not at all. It's still there. You've lived it. But all I want you to do is start seeing yourself in your story as power, as an overcomer. And that's when you'll start attracting people to you that has been there, or people that may be going through right now the very thing you decided to share. And now you've given them a survival guide because they have no idea how to move from that space. Just like when it was you in that space, if someone had only given you a survival guide, you may have shortened the time you was in that place, maybe. I don't know. I can only think about me. I wish there was times in my life someone was bold enough, or someone had shared with me, hey, you might want to read this story, because you know what? They've encountered some of the things you've encountered. So I wish I had somebody's survival guide, but your story could be that for someone else. Okay. So, who guys, that was pouring the purpose. That was the pour in the purpose part of your story, the power of your story. So now, this is a part that we all can participate in, the reflection questions. And with the reflection questions, let's talk about two questions I like to leave with you. And the first question is, what story have you been afraid to tell? Think about that for a moment while I take a sip. This is still super hot. I'm going to start drinking out of open cups, mugs that people are sending in and sharing with me. And thanks, Leslie. I do have your Brags mug. So, yes, yours will definitely be one that I share. But what I realized when I drink out of a mug versus my Yeti cup, the Yeti really makes things hot for a long time. But when I drink out of mugs, it allows me to drink all my coffee rather quickly, like through this broadcast, because it's open. So it's cooling off in the process of me sharing. so, and so with that, all right, let me give you that question again. What story have you been afraid to tell? Think about it. I'm thinking about mine right now. Yep, there is one that I can think of right now. I'm not going to share it right now. I will share it eventually. All right, so let's talk about the second reflection question I want you to think about. How would your life shift if you owned it out loud? How would your life shift if you owned it out loud? Maybe in the format of a book. I don't know. Let me share this with you. Because I always listen to my authors and what people have to say. I decided to create the 90-day book creation, and it does come with a journal component. But I decided to create the 90-day book creation because it came out of discussions and conversations and really paying attention and listen to those that I have encountered along my journey to help their story come out to the masses. And so a lot of times people may not have the financial resources to invest in their story, right? But people may be able to afford a book and a journal. I'm going to put that up on the screen real quick. People may be able to afford a book and a journal that they can just sit and go through in their own time to help them write their story. Yeah. So this is up in the corner. I put the QR code up in the corner to scan if you are someone and you are in the process of writing your story, and you know what, you may need some tools and resources. Well, I've already did the heavy lifting for you. I put together 12 steps in the 90-day book creation in order for you to be able to know how to take your book from a thought and an idea, and actually all the elements that come with getting it to the marketplace in 90 days. I made it easy, or tried to make it easy, right? It's up to you though to take the step if it's something that you want to engage in. And so that's on you. But I did put the QR code up in the corner, and you can scan that if you decide that you want to huh, share your story in a book format. Or maybe you just decide that, you know what? I would rather just contact you directly. Yep, and you could do that too. I'm going to put some information up on the screen. You can visit me at my website, www.hovpub.com. hovpub.com. You'll be able to actually see a little more information about the 90-day book creation, on how to create your story, or you can just schedule a vision session with me, a vision session for us to talk about what it is you desire that you want to do with your story. Okay. So definitely come stop by, visit me, and hey, reach out and let me know. I have a story, and people have always told me my story should be told. I just haven't taken the first steps to get that story told. So never feel like you have to be in this by yourself, because you don't. Remember that you don't. And so we're here, HOV Publishing, the community. Even if you stop by for Morning Brew, you're here to, here's a platform for you to be able to share your story on. Let's talk about it. All right. So now in this segment, this is the final sip. So guess what that means? That means we are coming to a close. So there's some things that I do want to share before we come to a close in the final sip, before we close out with some really inspiration, words of encouragement, some empowerment tips, some things that I just want you to think about until we meet again, right? And so with that, I want to share this. I want to share that we have a big meeting coming up with a company, a coffee company. Yes. So we are looking at bringing on some, guess what, other than hazelnut coffee, some other blends and some other flavors. So, yes, I will be trying some different blends and some different flavors, but we're really excited. Hopefully, we'll be able to walk away in a partnership with this new company, coffee company, that we can bring to you as well. So you can try along with me when we come together for Morning Brew. So, keep your prayers up for that, okay? I'm asking for your prayers for that, okay? And then another thing also is that I want to be able to talk to you because, like I stated earlier, this is a platform that it is about empowering you. It's about inspiration. It's about sharing. And the one thing that it has a focus on, because yes, I am a publisher, I have a focus on people sharing their stories. And so we're always thinking about ways that we can provide a platform for those authors to share their stories. Now, keep this in mind. You don't have to be a HOV publishing author in order to share your stories in Morning Brew. I work with a lot of people, they are not under my imprint. You know, I have a whole division of self publishing, working with authors that are self publishing, but they really don't know, or they don't want to do the heavy lifting and all that. So we work with authors even in the self publishing aspect of things, whereas we help get your book ready for the marketplace and then we release it back to you. So now you have your book in the marketplace. So there's so many different ways, even down to our books legacy books for those that have lived a life, a journey on this life. And you know what? They may be over 60, they may be over 70, they may be over 80. Shoot, my eldest author, God bless her, still living today, is 104 years old. Yes. So it doesn't matter what age you are. The longer you've lived, the more powerful your story. so So in our legacy books, that's a whole nother area. And I'm saying all these things because you can find these things right at hovpub.com in our service section, right? You can see all the different areas. So I'm only saying this because there's so much power in our story. Once again, that's today's brew topic, the power of our story. So I'm sharing these things with you because I never want you to feel like you are out there and you are all by yourself doing this alone. You do not have to be. And there's so many people out there, right? Publishing has become like a hot thing. It's become a hot thing, and so many people are getting into the space of doing it. Hi, Pastor Carla Harrell. That's another one of my best-selling authors. Thank you so much for chiming in. But if you are someone out there and you just need to know, how do I take the first steps? I don't even know the how in all this. Well, guess what? We specialize in that at Hope and Vision Publishing. So you don't have to worry about it. You just have to engage. But I wanted to say, because I'm dropping some things probably before their time, and you'll see more coming, you know, but we are creating this amazing platform that you can join in live or you can join in virtual wherever you are. I want you to stand by because more is coming pertaining to it. And I'm so excited about the partnerships that we're creating, the platforms that we are affording for authors to be able to step up and share their stories in a live setting. I am so excited about it. More to come. Let me calm myself down, okay, and not get ahead of myself as we are creating that. But with that being said, before we get into our final sip, I do want to say this because, yes, you all have been champions in really seeing the vision, being a part of Hope of Vision, the vision. You've been a part of it, you've been championing it. And so at this time, yes, this is another section that I know you've been asking and you want to know, how can we support? You can support in this segment. So I'm going to show you this. And you know what? We're going to be running a campaign. $1 for just $1, $1 can also help pour back into you. So let me add this and just take a moment. Welcome to Morning Brew with your girl Germaine on Buy Me a Coffee. Every cup you buy helps fuel inspiration, conversations, and creative content for our growing community. So grab a seat, stop by for a coffee break, sip with us, and thank you so much for pouring into purpose with me. Morning Brew, I'll see you in the next coffee break. Yes, that is a segment that we all can also join in and be a part of growing the community that benefits everyone, not just me. It benefits everyone because we pour right back into purpose that someone else can be blessed just like you if you've been a part of this community. So, with that being said, now we're going to get into this, the final sip. Thank you all for just taking time to listen in, to stay with us, to share with us. Make sure you share this morning brew with others if you find value in it. The one thing I have not been good at, but we are getting better. See, you don't have to have everything together, right? But we are getting better at being able to really market and share it and put it out there, because I can honestly say I haven't even done a massive e-blast yet. I haven't done that yet. And I need to, because I have almost 600 authors that their books have come through, and I want to see how to get all of them engaged to be a part of Authors Brew Friday, to be able to share their story in the new platform that's getting ready to launch soon. But nevertheless, share this with someone else. Morning Brew with Germaine. And this is the final sip that I want to leave you with. Your story is sacred, and it's also strategy. We're going to break that down a little more. So, should I leave you with that, or should I just expound a little more on that? Yes. So, we're going to be expounding a little more, but your story, we talked a lot about you really looking at your story as power. Your story, you've gone through it, you lived it. Now, what do I do with it next? What's the next things? What do I do with it? Your story is currency. I'm going to make that a whole different morning brew segment. Your story is currency. So you can just have some ideas and everything on how to take your story and now allow it to be a blessing for you and your family, as well as those that are going to receive and use your story as their survival guide, right? So, but you got to stay tuned. You got to stop by for coffee with me so we can talk about it. So, with that being said, what I want you to do, I want you to sip slow, I want you to speak up, and I want you to share boldly. It's your story and it deserves to be heard. All right, guys. Thank you so much for chiming in, having this coffee break with me. We'll be back tomorrow with another coffee brew. And Wednesday, we have a special guest in studio that's going to be talking about dropping some real knowledge on things that we need um, in the healthcare industry, especially with the shaping of America right now and where things are going. So make sure you stop by on Wednesday also for Morning Brew. But until then, be safe out there and continue to write that story. If you haven't started yet, start writing your story. I look forward to hearing it. Have a great day. Bye bye now.